Can you hear me?
Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me or no? Hello? Maria, I heard you.
And then again, I put it on.
Oh, sorry. Steve, are you able to hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Steve, can you hear us?
Yes. Yes, I can.
Plenty of copies. Yeah. Oh, it's right here.
Hello, can you hear me? Testing.
Without writing of that issue, among others.
Hello, can anyone hear me? Hello?
I don't hear it.
I can hear you now.
Great, we could hear you. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Guys like you.
No, leave it
I
open.
would leave it open since he's
Just-
the only one on. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're all set that way. Okay, great. All right, so I think we're ready. I'm going to call to order the September 18, 2023 meeting of the Municipal Authority. We just for the record, we just returned from an executive session of this board to discuss pending litigation matters. I'm going to have a roll call. Steve Mackel,
Here.
okay, and Maria Kane is here, and Louis Rosenthal,
Here.
okay, and that is all here tonight.
We need unanimous vote tonight of 3 people, correct?
So there's only 3 of us here.
Right.
Okay.
Okay,
Actually, under that, you would, under the Authorities Act, it's a majority of a quorum. So once you have a quorum, a majority controls.
thank you for that clarification.
Not that I see anything that exciting on the agenda.
No. All right. First, we'll have a moment of silence. I did want to mention that our director, Steve Neese, lost his father recently, and that's why he's not here. So just a moment of silence for that. All right, and may we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the
To the
flag
flag
of
of the United States of America.
and to the republic which it stands,
Nation.
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and
Liberty and justice for all.
All right, may I have a motion to approve the agenda? Everybody's had a chance to look at that. Well, I think at this point, we wanted to
Amend the agenda.
amend the agenda before we approve it. So,
I would,
okay,
I would amend the agenda. We have some past due bills that have finally made their way to us. They've been submitted for a while. Payable to our solicitor's firm in the total amount of $7,575.67. Some of these invoices go back to the spring. And so I would make a motion to amend the agenda to allow us to pay those bills when the
Okay.
time comes.
Thank you for that motion. And do I hear a second?
So I'll second.
Great, okay. Any questions or comments about it? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that is now amended, and let's just say that is going to be 9.2, okay, for bills, I think.
Mhm.
9.2. All right. Okay, now may I have a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
So moved.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on. Is there any public comment for agenda items only? All right, hearing none, we're going to move on. You've received in your packet, board members, the minutes from the last meeting of August 21, 2023. May I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll
Do I hear a
second.
Thank you, Steve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I see that present tonight, we have Yvonne Bullock. Will you be giving us a treasurer's report tonight, Yvonne? Okay. Have we received any monies from the from Portnoy yet? I mean, over this last period? Yeah, no, well, I mean, I'd like to just maybe get an update on, I haven't really been following it that closely. But what have we received in from Portnoy? Okay. Perfect. And is that listed as like a certain item in there? Gotcha.
So I would ask Portnoy if there's a report that actually lets us know that. I'm assuming that this report that we have in here of still open delinquencies would be netted to some extent, but it would be, I don't know how valuable, but it would be appropriate information, I think, for the board to see their successes. Yeah, I mean, you know,
I
when it,
think quarterly at least would be nice, or,
Yeah.
you know. I think he's supposed to do that.
I was
anyway,
just
yeah.
gonna say, my recollection of the engagement letter was that, that was due. I think quarterly is right.
Yeah.
If not monthly, so, you know, maybe it's going somewhere else and, you know, Yvonne's just seeing the numbers and somebody else is seeing the results. So it's probably somewhere. Once Steve's back, I'll reach out to him and see if we can, I get that over. to
great,
you
that
guys.
would be great.
I think it would be nice to have it as kind of just at least quarterly that we see that number. You know. As part of our package so that we can
Right.
kind of make sure it's worthwhile
Agreed.
for us.
So one other comment I would make, the sort of reconciliation, the monthly reconciliation of the bond fund activity that shows opening balance in September, approximately $164,000. After we approve payments tonight, that will be extinguished. And so we should see at some point in time, we should see a zero closeout of that. And given what's on projected payments out of the quote unquote bond fund for this evening, it's all SR3. So my assumption is you'll be debiting the SR3 balance. Right. Right. That's fine. Right. So we'll take that, that'll be down to 0. So, but, and again, something that we'll just have, Stephen look at when he gets back. And then we, I guess, for lack of a better term, we close out the bond account. Okay. Thank you. It was all the
I
materials
think
there.
we interrupted you, Yvonne. Did you
Sorry.
have anything else? Sorry. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so there is a spreadsheet in there. Okay. Right. Good. All right, yeah. All right, and then Dave Porter, our engineer, is here tonight. Do you have a report for us, Dave?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you very much. As typical, I'll start with our public sewer project. I know there's a young lady here that is eager to hear a status update. We in fact did have startup testing for the Old Masters pump station today. The pumps and motors functioning flawlessly. The sewage grinder is functioning flawlessly. We have one minor issue that needs to be resolved with gas service to the engine-driven emergency pump. We have the vendor coming out next Monday to complete that install. And then our pump vendor, Gorman Rupp Gale Corporation, who's the local vendor, will complete the engine work and program the dialer for all of our emergency contacts. And at that point, we'll be ready to go for connections. So,
I think we're anticipating letters going out probably somewhere in the 2-week time period. So in the next 2 weeks, before the next meeting, you will.
I think that's
I would
very
think
reasonable.
Very reasonable
Yes.
estimate would be that you will have a letter before the next meeting. And then you can start that process. We appreciate your patience and all of your neighbors' patience.
Been a long time coming, but we're at the finish line here. So we just got to get both feet across, and willing, everything will go smoothly over the next couple of weeks, and we'll be able to send those letters out. So that's very good news. Everything went very positively today. Continuing on with additional connections with regard to Dogwood Lane, we've had 6 applications up there. I think we have 6 or 7, maybe 8 connections total to complete up there. 5 of those applications have been approved. 1 connection to date has been completed. I do know that there has been some feedback that 1 or 2 folks were going to ask for a deferment. So I think they're working through that process right now. The township's paving road program for Pomona Avenue. Our office assisted in mark out for the limits of the paving on Pomona in relation to the damage from the sewer project in connection with the deteriorated road. And our inspector met with Glasgow, the township's paving contractor, to go review the extent of the paving that needs to occur out there and the scope. My understanding is that paving is supposed to occur sometime this week. Judging on the weather we had today, I don't think anything happened. I see George kind of nodding. It'll probably be the following week. So as Steve Neese had mentioned in the previous meetings, this area of the town would probably be the last portion of the paving on the road program. So that's coming up. That's imminent. So we're in good shape there. And then on the Ashford and Camelot contracts with regard to the outstanding request from Jalen Bradley. We meet with the vice president there? He did provide some additional documentation. I'm going through that. I'll be in a position to make a recommendation to the authority. The total amount at face value seemed to be reasonable based on what he presented to me. I did remind them that we do have to consider some of the outstanding work items on the punch list and some of the outstanding things like Pomona Avenue paving that we had to take on separate from their responsibility in consideration with arriving at a final value on that. Westchester Pike at Charlotte's Restaurant. There still has been no update on award of that grant application that was submitted. So we'll continue to monitor that, and we'll look at that project, rebidding that project in connection with the Westchester Pike sanitary main crossing near Dunwoody and with the French Road sanitary sewer. We do have concepts put together. I'm just waiting on my CAD guys to turn that around so I can get that out to the authority. And one item we have on the agenda tonight is the Toll Brothers Ellis Preserve Townhouse dedication, which we'll get into that when that item comes up on the agenda. The last thing I wanted to brief the authority on was that I have a meeting tomorrow with traffic planning and design in relation to Ellis Preserve and the Westchester Pike widening. So as part of that widening, and it's near Rhodes Avenue, kind of in the Dunwoody area, there's conflict between what they have to do relocating the storm sewer and our existing sanitary sewer mains. So I've reviewed their plans. I've gone back to them with a couple of adjustments. They've made those adjustments and resubmitted the plans. They do have a utility coordination meeting tomorrow morning. They've asked me to attend on behalf of the authority so we can adjust the scope and finalize the scope of what they need to do, which I'll attend. And that concludes my engineer's report.
Hey, Dave. Can I ask a question real quick? I think I asked last time and I thought it was in my notes and I didn't write anything, but is there an update on the Porsche dealer?
Update on the Porsche dealer. So the Porsche dealer, we received some correspondence from the DEP asking for some documentation, which our office provided. I believe Steve Ninks provided some additional documentation, and our sewage enforcement officer also provided documentation. They are still on a holding tank. They're still pumping and hauling. And they'll, like everyone else in that service area, receive a letter directing them to tie into the public sewer since they're serviced by the old Masters pump station.
So will they have any, I guess it's an unknown at this point, but are there any repercussions for the issues that they caused and potentially getting monies back for that?
Maybe Mike should handle this.
We're seeking reimbursement for them from some of our costs. It looks like DEP's thus far, every indication is that they're not going to issue a fine. So, you know, there's a line from The Simpsons. They say what could have been a Chernobyl was a mere 3 Mile Island. You know, this was much smaller than it could have been.
Right.
Thank goodness. So, you know, the costs are relatively minimal and we're seeing recovery of them.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, thank you.
Maybe one request, Dave. You went through all of the things that we just accomplished with Old Masters, and I was hoping that maybe you could, once the dioxide and the propane issue is resolved, maybe just write the authority a memo identifying all of those steps we went through, maybe from the moment we got conditional use approval to commissioning, just to memorialize all
Sure.
of the things that we had done.
Which reminds me, the conditional use, one of the conditions that the board imposed on the conditional use approval was that a chain and bollard gate or restriction be provided with, you know, a little placard or a sign that says no public access. Paul Debaton did reach out to me and inquired about that, and I explained that we are aware it is a condition. The authority will honor that condition. We're just trying to work through getting the station started up, getting the NPDS permit notice of termination filed, and doing the final walkthrough with the conservation district. And, you know, upon getting that finalized, we will complete that as promised. We will solicit from some contractors some costs, and I'll be prepared to give that to the authority at the next meeting.
So that would be the last
that
item
one.
on the list.
That would
Yeah.
be the last item. Yep.
Putting up the gate.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, our operations manager is not here, as we stated earlier. So there will be, I'm assuming there's no additional report from Steve this way. Okay, all right, then I'm moving on to item number 9.1. Can I have a motion to approve the bills on check register, on the check register dated September 18, 2023, totaling $5,665.39.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And now on the amended agenda 9.2, can I have a motion to approve payment to Mike Madron
Limited.
in the amount of $7,575.67.
So
Pursuant to the
moved.
bills presented to us this evening.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, consider approving, I'm moving on to payments now, 10.1, consider approving the following payments from the bond associated with 537 Public Sewer Project build out. I'm going to read all of these unless anybody has a problem, and then we'll do a collective motion. $191.25 to Herbert McCombie Engineers for Part 2 permit work associated with the Ashford service area. $6,345.62 to the Herbert McCombie Engineers for Part 2 permit work associated with the Camelot service area. $103,500 to AP Construction for the Old Masters Pump Station ES grading and driveway within the Camelot service area. $90,000, $662.33 to Ford Brothers Electrical for electrical work associated with the Camelot service area. This is construction release number 11. May I have a motion?
So moved.
So I'll second.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions or comments regarding those items? Alright.
Only just the internal accounting I mentioned earlier during the treasurer.
Okay. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to item 11.1, consider approving escrow reduction request number 2, the final bond reduction for the enclave at Ellis Preserve totaling $32,958.80 as approved by Herbert McCombie Engineering. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, there's no new business on our agenda this evening. I don't think there was anything to add. Old business, both items. Well, item 13.1 is regarding Richard Koenig and his requests for payment, but we are tabling that item. And that's 13.1. 13.2 has already been dealt with.
I think
Do you
maybe
wanna
just
handle that, Mike?
just a brief, because I think Dave said we talked about it when we got here. So here we are. Back in February of 2021, the authority accepted all dedication of all the lines upon them being offered from the Ellis Preserve project that flow to CDCA. So the toll lines are included in that. So you've already approved, you've already authorized the acceptance of dedication. So really, I think it's an administrative issue for Dave and I to work through, make sure all the i's are dotted and t's are crossed, which we're very close to having complete at this point.
Okay, and we appreciate you just making sure that all of the obligations that they have with respect to that dedication are done prior to giving it the thumbs up. We appreciate it. All right, and then 13.3 is regarding the second meter issue, and we're going to table that item as well until the next meeting. Is there any public comment? Nobody's left from the public. Okay. And items for next agenda, I think it's pretty self-explanatory as far as what's been tabled. So with that, I'll adjourn the meeting.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.